Top 10 coolest things about Legion. So, this video is basically just talking about some of the neat things that were announced for the new expansion. And since doing list videos is kind of my thing, I thought it only made sense to talk about it in a list video. Now then, on to the list. Number 10, War of the Ancients 2.0. According to Blizzard, this expansion is supposed to be like the War of the Ancients, but bigger. You know how big the original War of the Ancients was? It was literally the biggest thing ever in Azeroth. Well, maybe second to the war between the Old Gods and the Titans. But in the War of the Ancients, you had literal gods fighting with the Night Elves to push back the demons, and nearly all of them died. Malorone, father of Sargeras, the guy who created the druids, got his neck snapped like a twig by Archimonde. In fact, nearly all of the Ancients died in that war. The Turtle Ancient only survived because people thought he was already dead, because he was in his shell with a mountain of corpses on top of him. I'm not really sure how they can top the War of the Ancients, so I'm skeptical about their claim about being bigger, but if they can pull it off, that would be amazing. Number 9, finally some news about Queen Azshara. I thought the new expansion would have her as the big bad, but hey, at least she'll finally have some relevance to the story. For those of you who don't know, she's the one who started the original War of the Ancients, was the most powerful mage Night Elves ever had, and is the Queen of the Naga currently with the power of an old god to back her. The Queen is mentioned a few times, once with the zone of Azuna. Azuna represents the bones of the ancient Night Elf civilization. It has ghosts of ancient Night Elves, a dying breed of the Blue Dragonflight, and the Night Fallen. The Night Fallen are exiled royalty from Suramar that have been left to die outside the walls of their city. We will be racing Queen Azshara and her minions for control of the pillars of creation in the zone. And again mentioned with one of her servants, Tide Mistress Athisa. Queen Azshara, former leader of the ancient Night Elves, rules the Naga with supreme authority. Her servants are many, but few can match the fanatic devotion of Athisa. At her queen's command, she is poised to lead a massive Naga army into Asuna, a region rumored to hold a long-lost Titan relic of power. Nothing will stand between Athisa and this prize, not the cursed Night Elf spirits who haunt the land, nor the Horde and Alliance forces that are gathered on the Broken Isles. Maybe all of this is set up for a future expansion. Number 8, the Emerald Dream. Well, kinda. It's mentioned that we'll be going to the Emerald Nightmare and get glimpses on the Emerald Dream. Considering that they had at one point planned an expansion around the Emerald Dream, this seems promising. I'm cautiously optimistic. Number 7, Demon Hunters. Fans have been asking about Demon Hunters since they were shown on the box art for Vanilla WoW. I personally don't care for yet another melee class added to the game, but I have a friend who stopped playing in Cataclysm who said he's coming back just for the Demon Hunters. Also, Double Jump looks pretty neat. I predict in the future all classes will get double jumped if people like it enough on Demon Hunters, if not by the launch of the new expansion. Number 6, PvP separate abilities. This one is huge. Like, maybe WoW PvP will be taken seriously as a competitive esport huge. One of the things players have been asking for since forever is abilities that work differently in PvP, because Blizzard notoriously bounces stuff around raid content. The fact that you have to level up your PvP tree has some people up in arms though, for legitimate reasons. Another problem PvP faces is the high barrier to entry. Gearing up a tune for PvP in the middle of the season takes weeks, just to play at the same level as everyone else. And having to level abilities for PvP is just going to add to that problem. But once you have the gear and talents, that's what's going to be big, since Blizzard can just balance the PvP only abilities without having to worry about raids and vice versa. Which is just all we've ever wanted. Also, they should really just remove gear from PvP already and just give transmog sets for high level rewards. If they did that, in addition to keeping this separate PvP change and not scrapping it like the Path of the Titans, then I would be so happy. Number 5, the Tomb of Sargeras will be involved in the story. So far, it seems like Gul'dan just used the tomb to create the portal that the demons are using to come into the world, but it's finally showing up in the story nonetheless. This tomb is another huge part of lore that's rarely ever mentioned. When the strongest guardian Agewind killed the avatar of Sargeras, she raised the island the tomb would be on out of the ocean, locked it away, and lowered it back with a ton of spells that no one from Azeroth could break. Since then, our Gul'dan raised it and got killed inside. Illidan himself went to it 20 years later, grabbed the Eye of Sargeras, and used it to try and destroy Northrend. See all those big names involved with that place? And since Warcraft 3, when Illidan collapsed it while escaping, it was never mentioned again. Until now. Number 4, Class Halls, or Garrisons 2.0, kinda. There will be some follower type system, but Blizzard said it's going to be a lot different than the Facebook game style system we have now. Also, since the hall will only have people of your class in it, that's just great. That's actually really cool. It's like we'll be in our own little cool club of just priests, and all you lesser classes can just play together in the mud or whatever it is lesser classes do. Also, there will be some class quests involved or something. The details are vague, but people have been asking for class quests for quite some time. Number 3, Alleria and Turalyon will finally make an appearance since the disappearance in Warcraft 2. They stayed behind to close the Dark Portal with Khadgar, but Khadgar made it back, and those two were never heard of, which is strange since they have statues in Stormwind of them, and Alleria is the sister of a fan favorite, Sylvanas. Not much details on how they'll make an appearance, but it's long overdue. Number 2, Dalaran is back. Since Dalaran is like a floating city, it would seem like they could move it wherever they want, so it makes sense that it's going to the Broken Isles. And hopefully, unlike the Dalaran we have today, there won't be that annoying Allagan speech every 5 minutes, and I can actually park and alt in the city again. Finally, number 1, the artifacts. I remember way back when, before I even played WoW, I read a manga about this person playing an MMO who found a super rare weapon that could level up on its own separate from the character, and I've always wanted something like that since. I was disappointed that WoW didn't have this kind of weapon, but I enjoyed the game to a compulsive degree nonetheless. And finally, we'll be getting leveling weapons with their own talent trees. Apparently, Final Fantasy XIV has a weapon system similar to artifacts with relic weapons. And there, you can do this really long and time-consuming quest to get a relic weapon. In most cases, it is slightly better than the other options, but only by a very small margin. So you could either choose to continue the relic quest whenever they brought more of it, or get a new weapon from the new boss they brought out. So whether the weapon works like the ring or cloak, as in always the clear winner for the slot, or if it will only be better than a small margin like in 14, I don't care. I finally get a leveling weapon. Alright, and that's it for the top 10. A few more things I wanted to mention. Sylvanas might be getting story in this expansion, which would be awesome. Also, the dungeon Halls of Valor looks amazing.